Billionaire discovers wife humiliating nurse, but his heartwarming action transformed everything. Jack Carter had always believed that he had it all. A self-made billionaire at 42, he lived in a stunning mansion in the heart of a charming Ohio suburb. The aroma of freshly cut grass danced in the air as laughter from children playing echoed around him. Jack poured his heart into the community, hosting barbecues, spearheading charity events, believing that true wealth lay in giving back. His wife, Claire, was the epitome of elegance, admired by many, but even in their seemingly perfect life, shadows lurked. One evening, under shimmering lights at a grand charity gala, tension filled the air like a thunderstorm brewing. Jack stood proud among friends, the event meant to raise funds for families in need. The room buzzed with excitement until Claire's voice sliced through the laughter like a blade. Her mocking comments about Maria, their nurse, rang out, cruel and dismissive, highlighting the very struggles that Jack once faced. The room fell into an uncomfortable silence, like someone had hit pause on a movie. Jack's heart raced as he felt the weight of his choices pressing on him. There stood Maria, a hard-working single mother, fighting to make ends meet for her sick daughter, eyes downcast as Claire's words struck her. Jack wanted to leap across the room to defend her. Instead, he felt caught in a web of conflict, a warm bond with Claire, once tender and vibrant, now suffocated by disdain. It wasn't just Maria that felt the sting. The community, once united, hesitated in that moment, their loyalties tested by prejudice. Weeks passed, and Jack's heart felt heavier than ever. He recalled the sacrifices his parents had made, the gritty determination that had led him up to the heights of wealth. Each day, he saw Maria's strength, the late nights she endured juggling multiple jobs, whispers echoing in their neighborhood about her bravery. Yet, Claire remained stubborn, defensive in her privilege, unaware of the waves that their seemingly perfect surface hid beneath. Driven by an unsettling mix of indignation and the desire to heal his fractured family, Jack realized he couldn't remain silent any longer. He needed to confront Claire, to pull back the curtain on how class and ignorance tainted their charity. He gathered his courage, promising that the truth would no longer be buried beneath fancy gowns and sparkling jewels. With determination, Jack prepared to speak, envisioning Maria's face. Her resilience became his compass. In the dim light of that gala, he stepped forward, action flickering like the light above. He raised his voice, filling the room with heartfelt words, lifting Maria up before the community. This woman embodies strength and dignity, he declared, aiming to shift the tides of perception. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. As Jack spoke, gasps filled the air, eyes widening in surprise, their gazes locked in shock on Claire. This was a moment of reckoning, one he hoped would spark transformation. Yet, amid the crescendo of his plea, Claire's reaction took Jack's breath away. What had he anticipated? Applause? Understanding? Instead, her face twisted in anger. Jack's heart plummeted, standing at the brink of change, wondering if this act would heal their rift or send them spiraling deeper into turmoil. Would he finally ignite a fire of justice, or would it engulf him whole? The room hung in thick silence, the kind that felt as heavy as a winter coat. Jack's words rang out, filling the space where laughter had once flourished. The shock began to ripple through the crowd like a wave. Eyes darted between Jack and Claire, uncertainty etched into their faces. Jack could see the moment disbelief morphed into something else, something darker, as Claire's lips pursed in indignation. Jack, how dare you? Claire shot back, her voice sharp and biting, cutting through the stillness. You would choose a lowly nurse over all the hard work I've put into our reputation. The weight of her words crashed down on him, momentarily paralyzing. Lowly? The thought stung, like a bee landing uninvited in the midst of a picnic. Jack wanted to grab her by the shoulders and shake sense into her. This isn't about reputation, Claire. He implored, his voice layered with desperation. It's about humanity. It's about seeing the people we often overlook, those people. Claire interrupted, her eyes blazing. You mean those who come into our lives to serve us? Her disdain was palpable, thickening the air. The crowd shifted uncomfortably, exchanging glances, murmurs floating like leaves in a gust of wind. Jack felt a sense of betrayal twist in his gut. Did Claire really think this way? Had their love been built on so shaky a foundation that it could crack and break over a single moment of honesty? Behind him, Jack saw Maria's face redden, cringing under the piercing tension. She shook her head ever so slightly, as if to say, "Don't let this go too far." Jack turned back to Claire, feeling the stakes rise. The man he had become faced off against the woman he loved, two forces battling for the same truth. Don't you see? Jack pressed on, urgency fueling his words. She's not lowly, she's brave. Maria is fighting for her daughter, she's working double shifts just to keep food on the table. Just like my parents did for me. That hit hard. Eyes widened even further. The crowd fell deeper into his passion. This was personal for Jack. He was fighting not just for Maria, but for the spirit of struggling families everywhere, and for the man he feared living inside Claire. Claire's demeanor shifted ever so slightly, confusion flickering behind her icy facade, but her pride clamped tightly around her words. The unease in the room grew, with even some of their closest friends looking away, embarrassed. Jack continued, each sentence building momentum. You want to come down from your pedestal. But there is nothing noble in privilege when we leave others behind. He saw it, the crack in Claire's armor. The first flickers of doubt, the beginnings of understanding layered beneath the anger. Just maybe, she could come back to him, but the words halted, tumbling on their own. Jack's heart raced as he realized it was not just a confrontation, it was a reckoning. The silence pressed down harder, becoming almost suffocating. What if Claire never let go of her prejudice? What if she refused to change? And what lay ahead for their marriage, for their family? Jack turned back to the crowd, searching their faces for support, but caught some still entrenched in their shock, paralyzed by Claire's words and his confrontation. Tears welled in Maria's eyes, reflecting the turmoil of the moment. Then, Jack took a deep breath, fists clenching at his sides. What we do today can change everything, but only if we choose to see each other differently. The crowd held its breath, the tension lingering like a soft breeze, but would Claire grasp hold of the moment, or would she choose to turn away? As her expression softened for the briefest of seconds, Jack's heart raced with uncertainty. What lay at the heart of her reaction could shift the path of their lives forever. With the entire room watching, waiting, Jack prayed for a breakthrough. Would it finally be enough to pull them back from the brink, or was this just the beginning of an even larger storm? The air crackled with tension, making it hard for anyone to breathe. Jack watched as Claire's expression shifted from anger to something softer, like a storm cloud beginning to part. Yet beneath that softness, he could still see the resistance. It was clear she was struggling with something deep within herself. What do you truly want, Jack? Claire finally asked, her voice quieter but still laced with defiance. Do you really think you can just change everything overnight? You're talking about making sacrifices, but will you be ready to live with the consequences? Her words hung in the air, heavy and bitter. The crowd began to murmur again, restless with uncertainty. Whispers rippled like a stone thrown into still water, echoing through the room. Jack swallowed hard, feeling the weight of their gaze on him. This was not just about him and Claire anymore, it was about their friends, their family, and the positions they'd built. I don't want to change everything overnight, Claire, Jack said, his emotions spilling over. I want us to see each other for who we really are. For me to see you, but for you to see Maria too. To see her struggle and the beauty in her sacrifice. If we can't do that, then what is the point of all this? He gestured wildly around the room, frustration erupting from within him. Jack's heart raced, each beat echoing his plea, as he continued. I can't stand by and watch the kindness in people go unrecognized, and I won't hide from the truth just to keep up appearances. Claire looked at him, her features tightening. And what truth are you talking about? The truth that you want to forsake everything we've built for someone you barely know? After all these years, Jack, is this what it comes to? Sticking up for someone who isn't worthy of our time? Worthy? Worthy? Jack's voice thickened, a rush of emotion surging. Do you hear yourself? It's not about worthiness, it's about understanding. Maria works harder in a day than some people do in a lifetime. It's about compassion, Claire. It's about fighting for those who can't fight for themselves. The room was silent again, tension wrapping around them like a tightly wound coil. Jack's throat burned with unshed tears, and all he wanted was for Claire to see that a flicker of something fear or realization flashed across Claire's face. She stepped back, crossing her arms, a barrier forming between them. You're asking me to change everything about myself, Jack. You want me to see things through your lens. But what if I can't? Change doesn't have to be about losing yourself, Jack replied gently, feeling his heart sink. It's about growing. It's about realizing that we can use our privilege to help. To make a real difference. Suddenly, the flicker of understanding in Claire's eyes slipped away. The door behind him creaked open. A nurse, clad in scrubs, paused in the doorway, catching the atmosphere of the moment. Their eyes met, and Jack could see the weight of countless stories etched into her face. Excuse me, she said quietly, her voice trembling, I couldn't help but overhear. Maria is not just a lowly nurse, she is a mother who fights every day. Like many of us. Jack turned, both surprised and grateful for her presence. The crowd shifted again, more people nodding in agreement, the tide changing. As Claire's defenses crumbled further, Jack could feel the atmosphere change. The people, his network of friends and family, began to rally behind him, his plea resonating with their hearts. But just when he thought they were approaching a breakthrough, Claire stepped back, her eyes glistening with unshed tears. I don't know if I can be that person, Jack. I'm scared. Jack's heart dropped at her words. You're stronger than you think, Claire. We all have the potential to change. And in that moment, with the room holding its breath, Jack realized that the question was larger than he anticipated. Could they both find the courage to change, together? Or would fear keep them locked in the past, unable to embrace a brighter future? The weight of uncertainty settled like fog, thickening the air again as Jack waited for Claire's next words, feeling the crucial crossroad stretch before them. Would this moment forge them anew, or fracture them forever? Jack stood there, heart racing, as he searched Claire's eyes for any sign of agreement, any flicker of hope. The tension stretched like a tightly pulled bowstring, and every breath he took felt heavy with consequence. The silence was almost unbearable. The murmur of the crowd swelled around them, each whisper adding to the weight pressing down on Jack's shoulders. He wanted to reach out, to break the walls between them, but fear held him back. What if she pushed him away? I'm scared too, Claire, he finally confessed, voice low but steady. I'm terrified that we could lose everything. But isn't it scarier to keep living a lie? To pretend that we don't see the struggles of those around us? Claire's lips quivered, her defiance starting to crack under the strain of emotion. She looked around at the faces watching them, and the realization dawned on her. Do you really think this is about us? What about the others? We're not just talking about Maria anymore, are we? No, Jack admitted, his pulse racing. It's about everyone who feels invisible. Everyone who feels like their work is thankless. It's about giving a voice to those who've been silent for too long. For a moment, a flicker of resolve sparked in Claire's eyes. And what if we're making things worse? What if the change we seek causes more harm than good? Her voice trembled, betraying her doubts, yet held a sliver of newfound curiosity. Jack stepped forward, reducing the space between them. Then we will face it together. We can't know the outcome unless we try, Claire. What if we could show others a new way to live? To support each other as a community? The air felt charged, and Jack could see the struggle within her. The fight against fear was evident on her face. The fabric of their lives was fraying at the edges, and here they stood, at the cusp of something both terrifying and beautiful. It's not about throwing away everything we've built, Jack, she whispered, her voice barely audible. But if we get involved, can we really navigate those changes without losing ourselves? I believe we can, he said firmly, every word like a lifeline. We don't have to be defined by our past decisions. We can evolve, grow, and support everyone along the way. It starts with us. If we can't challenge ourselves for the sake of others, what kind of people are we? Claire's gaze shifted again, this time to the nurse still lingering at the doorway. The collective energy in the room surged at her quiet reminder of the true stakes, waking something within Claire that had long been dormant. Jack caught her eye, his heart pounding in his chest, both grateful for their onlookers and terrified of their judgment. I'm asking you to look beyond what you know to feel the strength in compassion. Claire inhaled deeply, steeling herself. Maybe the door creaked again, and in walked Maria, her gaze steady, filled with a wealth of determination. She paused, absorbing the charged atmosphere. Is this about me? Her presence rippled through the crowd, a grounding force. Jack turned to her, then back to Claire. In that moment, he saw not just fear but the stirring of something powerful. Combined, they could shift perspectives, spark ideas, and ignite change, but could Claire muster the courage to step into that unknown alongside him? He felt the weight of his own vulnerability, and heart pounding, he realized that this was not just a fight for Maria, it was a fight for them all. As Maria stepped forward, Jack held his breath. What would Claire decide? Would she rise with him, or retreat into the safety of the familiar? The moment hung in the air, electric and raw. Jack could see it in her eyes, the war between caution and hope, but which side would she ultimately choose? Claire's eyes darted between Jack and Maria, the weight of the decision crushing down on her. She felt like she was standing on the edge of a cliff, the ground beneath her crumbling. The noise of the crowd faded away, replaced by the pounding of her heart. Something had shifted in the room, a vibration of communal tension that was palpable. Maria stepped closer, her presence both calming and empowering. It was as if she was the catalyst Claire desperately needed. I need to know, Maria said, her voice steady. Are you with us? You're not alone in this. But I can't do this without your support, Claire. I need you to believe in this cause as much as I do. Jack nodded, a silent plea in his gaze. Claire swallowed hard, her instincts warring with her desire to take a leap of faith. What if it doesn't work? She finally asked, her voice trembling with uncertainty. What if we succeed in making some noise but it only brings more pain? What if it all backfires? Maria reached for Claire's hand, and in that moment, a spark ignited. What if it changes everything? She countered, her eyes alive with possibility. What if your voice is the one that reaches those who feel they have nothing left? The crowd leaned in, each person hanging on the conversation. Jack's breathing quickened. He could feel the electricity staying between them, pulling Claire in. He wanted her to see that change was often scary, but it was also necessary, a call to action for something greater. Claire, he said softly, his words like a lifeline thrown into the deep murky waters between them. Remember why we started this journey. Why you wanted to help Maria. It was never about success or failure, it was about doing the right thing. We can't just watch from the sidelines anymore. The murmurs of the crowd buzzed around them, a chorus of encouragement. Jack could see the transformation starting, a subtle shift in Claire's expression. Could this be the moment she chose to step forward? Slowly, Claire's gaze hardened with determination as her breath steadied. Jack could see the glimmer of hope in her eyes. All right, she whispered. I'll do it. But not just for Maria, for everyone who feels like their voice has been lost. I want to help. A wave of relief washed over Jack, and the crowd erupted into a soft cheer, a ripple of shared understanding. There was joy, excitement, and something almost tangible in their collective spirit. Maria's smile illuminated the room, her gratitude evident. Together then, Maria declared, raising their hands as if sealing an unspoken pact. The energy surged through Jack, an unyielding force of spirit. He had seen Claire change before his very eyes, the fear replaced by a flickering flame of courage. This was just the beginning. But as the crowd settled, an unexpected figure pushed through, a familiar face shrouded in mystery, someone with the power to change everything. Jack's gut twisted. Could this person bring them down before they even started? His heart raced again, the stakes rising higher than before. Would they truly be ready for what lay ahead? A new chapter was opening, but the question lingered: were they prepared for the fallout of their choice? The air shifted, tense and thick, as the familiar figure emerged from the shadows. Claire squinted through the crowd, searching for a hint of recognition. As the face came into view, Jack felt the blood drain from his face. It was Henry, a respected figure in the community, but to them, he was a specter of fear. He had influence and power, always poised to support the status quo. Isn't this quaint? Henry's voice boomed across the room, a sardonic edge slicing through the warm atmosphere. The encouragement moments ago felt fragile now, as if a storm cloud had rolled in. A little gathering filled with dreams, hopes, and idealistic notions. How precious. Some in the crowd shifted uncomfortably, uncertain how to react. Jack's fists clenched at his side, he could see Claire flinch. Was this the voice of reason or a harbinger of doom? Maria stepped forward, her posture defiant. We're not afraid of change, Henry. We're here to elevate voices that have been silenced for too long. You can criticize all you want, but we will not be discouraged. Henry chuckled, a low rumble that echoed like a threat. And what if your voices only lead to chaos? What if you disrupt the very system that keeps everything running smoothly? You really think that shouting into the void will bring about change? Jack could feel the crowd waver, questioning their resolve with each word that dripped from Henry's lips like venom. He held his breath, willing Claire to stand firm. This was the moment she needed. Change doesn't happen in silence. Claire found her voice, stronger now, cutting through the tension. We're creating a space for everyone who believes they can make a difference. We're not just shouting, we're listening, learning, and building something greater. For a brief moment, Claire's words hung in the air, powerful and unwavering. The crowd seemed to lean into her, drawing strength from her courage. Isn't that sweet? Henry's sneer faded slightly, but his eyes glinted with skepticism. All it takes is a little wind to blow away your sweet little house of cards. His comment hit hard, a reminder of how fragile their hopes were. Jack's heart raced. Would Henry's words extinguish the fire Claire had just ignited? He stepped closer to Claire, ready to resist whatever came next, but then he noticed Maria. Her brow furrowed, contemplating a response. Jack felt a spark of admiration for her bravery. This wasn't just Claire's struggle, they were all in this together. You don't know us, Maria finally said, her voice full of resolve. And you certainly don't know what we're capable of when we come together. A murmur of agreement rippled through the crowd, emboldened by their collective strength. Jack could feel hope welling up inside him. This was what they had wanted, what they had dreamed of, an unbreakable community standing up for one another against the odds. Fine, Henry relented. But remember, I'll be watching. And when you realize just how misguided your efforts are, I won't be the one saying I told you so. As he turned to leave, the tension in the room seemed to dissipate, replaced by renewed energy. Jack squeezed Claire's hand, her heart beating fiercely in tandem with his own. They were ready to face whatever storms lay ahead, together, but as they looked into each other's eyes, the question loomed, what awaited them on this uncertainty-ridden path they had chosen? And would they be able to withstand Henry's looming shadow as they sought to carve their new future? The energy in the room was electric as the crowd began to rally behind Claire and Maria, a palpable sense of unity blossoming amidst the chaos Henry had threatened to unleash. Jack felt the tension ease slightly, but it was still too early to breathe easy. They had faced down Henry's arrogance, but his shadow loomed larger than ever. Let us regroup and focus. Claire called out, her voice steady. We've come this far because we believe in a better future. Let us not lose that momentum. With determination shining in her eyes, she gestured for everyone to gather around. People started to form a tight circle, their whispers buzzing with excitement and apprehension. Jack glanced at Claire, impressed by her resilience. She had this uncanny ability to ignite a flame in others, and he couldn't help but admire her. He could see it in Maria as well, there was fire in her words and passion in her stance. Together, they were building something beautiful, something he wanted to be part of. Okay, I know we can't just ignore what Henry said, Maria started, her brow furrowed in thought. But we need to talk about our next steps. We can't let his words break us. Right. A voice called from the crowd. Jack turned to see Sarah, a mother who had joined their cause. We need to gather stories. Real stories from real people who've faced the system Henry supports. Yes. That's it. Claire exclaimed, her enthusiasm sparking a chain reaction. Let us showcase our community's strength. We each have a story to share. Let us make a plan to collect them and present them to the council. The idea swept through the crowd like wildfire. Excitement mingled with nervous energy as Jack felt a surge of hope. If they could just display their truth, they could shatter the facade of power Henry hid behind. We can host storytelling sessions, Jack chimed in, driven by instinct. We could gather families, individuals, everyone willing to stand with us. Share their experiences, build a narrative that no one could ignore. The crowd erupted with supportive murmurs, and Jack felt a swell of pride. Each voice was a thread in the fabric of their movement, stitching them closer together. As they fleshed out the details, Jack saw Claire and Maria exchange encouraging smiles, a bond forged in the heat of battle, but as plans took shape, a new tension emerged. The reality of Henry's influence was an anchor pulling at their aspirations. What if he tries to stop us? Someone questioned, the doubt hanging heavy in the air. Claire took a breath before speaking, the weight of their struggle clear in her eyes. We will face him on our terms. We'll pull the stories from our hearts, and allow our truth to guide us. It may not be easy, but we can't let fear dictate our actions. Jack nodded, feeling the thrill of purpose course through him. They needed this to shed light on their struggles, to push back against a system that had silenced them for too long. As the meeting drew to a close, everyone felt the inspiration bubbling within them, eager to take action. Jack held Claire's hand tightly, that familiar warmth spreading through him. Are you ready? He whispered, his eyes searching hers. They both knew this was just the beginning, a slate wiped clean for their collective voices to emerge. More than ever, Claire replied, determination painting her features. But could their unity withstand Henry's inevitable retaliation? How far would he go to extinguish their light, and would they be ready for what came next? The atmosphere in the room crackled with a mix of excitement and uncertainty as the group began to disperse. Claire's words hung in the air, fueling their passion. Jack felt a rush of adrenaline coursing through him, igniting his spirit. He needed to channel this energy. They all did. Let South meet at the park tomorrow, Maria said, her voice rising above the chatter. We'll form groups and start collecting stories. I'll spread the word. There was a quick nod of agreement from the crowd that surged forward, motivated by the promise of a united front. As families began to gather their things, Jack lingered behind, his heart racing. He glanced at Claire, who exchanged animated talks with Sarah, her eyes sparking with ideas. Jack stepped closer, caught in the orbit of her enthusiasm. What's on your mind? Claire asked, her gaze shifting to him. I just can't shake this feeling that Henry is still lurking, waiting for the right moment to strike, Jack admitted, the concern evident in his voice. What if he undermines our efforts before we even get started? Claire crossed her arms, her brows knitting together as she contemplated his words. We can't give in to fear. We must keep moving. He may try to intimidate us, but we have something he can't by our truth. It's what gives us power. Jack admired her unwavering confidence. Right. If we focus on our community, our narratives, maybe we can draw more supporters. His voice trailed off as he caught a glimpse of Maria, tracking a few children playing nearby. The laughter felt like a beacon of hope among the shadows of uncertainty. With an idea sparking, Jack leaned in closer to Claire. What if we include them? The kids, I mean. Their voices can be powerful too. They want to be heard, and their stories matter. I love it. Claire's smile lit up her face, igniting a flame in Jack's heart. It'll show that this is about everyone, families, future generations. We need to make sure they understand that. Their discussion, charged with possibilities, continued to flow, seamlessly shifting from ideas to action plans. Yet, as the sun dipped low in the sky, casting a golden hue over the park, an unsettling thought lingered in Jack's mind. What if Henry's next move was dangerous? Let us not spread ourselves too thin. We need a core group to help filter through the stories, Claire suggested, pulling Jack from his musings. This needs structure. Absolutely. We can form smaller teams for different neighborhoods, varying demographics, Jack offered, the strategy flowing naturally now. We'll make it a community effort. Let us get everyone involved. They continued to bounce ideas off each other, their spirits buoyed by a shared vision. Yet, as the laughter of children filled the air, Jack suddenly felt a knot in his stomach. Was their willingness to unite about to attract unwanted attention? A chill swept over him. They were becoming a movement. Henry would notice that. He was used to silencing voices, and if Jack had learned anything, it was that the louder a movement grew, the harder it could fall. As night fell, they parted ways with a plan in mind and determination in their hearts, but Jack couldn't shake off the unease. Could they withstand the storm that Henry would undoubtedly unleash? What would be the cost of their courage? With a heavy heart, he glanced back at Claire and Maria, their silhouettes framed against the stars, full of promise. But what would tomorrow bring? As the darkness deepened, so did Jack's sense of foreboding. The following day would be pivotal, but it served as a precarious cliffhanger. Would they be ready? And how much were they willing to risk? Dawn broke over the horizon with a tentative light, stretching fingers of gold and pink across the sky. Jack awoke with anticipation coiling in his stomach. Today was the day. They were stepping out of shadows and into the light, but the specter of Henry loomed ever closer in his mind. He dressed quickly, the urgency of the moment prompting his hurried movements. Coffee brewing in the kitchen filled his small apartment with a familiar aroma, but the comfort of home felt distant today. It felt like stepping onto a battlefield, armed with nothing but hope and determination. Arriving at the park, Jack was met with a buzz of energy that was contagious. Families gathered at picnic tables, children darting around with laughter echoing through the air. Maria was at the center, already rallying people. Jack spotted Claire at the edge, pen and notepad in hand, her focus unwavering. "Jack!" she called, spotting him. Her enthusiasm radiated, and for a moment, his unease lightened. "People are coming. This is perfect." Jack joined her, stealing a glance at the crowd. There were clusters of families, individuals of all ages, all there to share their stories. This was a tapestry of life woven together by experience and emotion. "Do you think we have enough volunteers?" Jack asked, worry creeping in. "We have more than enough," Claire reassured him. "Look at them. They believe in this." Her eyes sparkled with hope. "They want to be heard." As the hours rolled by, stories began flowing like a river. Laughter and tears intertwined in a beautiful chaos. Jack scribbled notes, soaking in stories of struggle, resilience, and joy. A mother's tale of immigration, a young boy's dream of becoming a scientist, an elderly couple recalling their long journey together. Each voice added a layer to their mission, their truth. But underneath the exhilaration, Jack felt a gnawing fear. "Hey, you alright?" Claire asked, her tone shifting as she noticed Jack's distracted gaze. "Just what if Henry shows up? What if he tries to shut this down?" Jack admitted, his heart thudding loudly in his chest. "We've come too far to let fear take hold," she replied firmly. "We're stronger together. Besides, if he shows up, we'll face him. We won't back down." Jack nodded, her courage infectious, yet the knot tightened. They were aware of risks, but every moment they uncovered another piece of the community's heart, he felt empowered. As the sun began to set, casting vibrant colors across the sky, Maria called out for everyone's attention. "Thank you all for being here today. Let us come together next week and compile these stories. We can publish them, share them. We need everyone to know these voices." Cheers erupted, and Jack felt a swell of pride. This was their community, their strength echoed around him, but that joy shattered when a figure emerged from the trees, sharp and confident. Henry's presence cast a long shadow over their gathering. A tightness squeezed Jack's chest as the whispers rippled through the crowd. "Stay strong, Jack. Show them we're not afraid," Claire whispered, squeezing his hand. Henry advanced with deliberate steps, his smirk betraying nothing of the turmoil brewing beneath. "What's all this, then? A little neighborhood gossip circle?" His voice dripped with mockery, eyes surveying the scene as if assessing prey. Jack felt the weight of the moment press down. This would be the test of their courage, the confrontation that could unravel everything they fought for. He took a deep breath, heart racing. As Henry reached them, Jack knew they were standing on a precipice, ready to either soar or crash destructively. "Let us show him what we're made of," he murmured under his breath, bracing for what would come next. Would they rise together or fall apart? The stakes were higher than ever, and only now did Jack realize how much there was to lose. The crowd settled into an uneasy silence as Jack faced Henry, the air palpably thick with tension. Henry stood tall and menacing, an embodiment of everything they wanted to change. He surveyed the small assembly of families, the children still lingering, hope shimmering in their eyes. Jack's heart pounded, but he felt a surge of strength wash over him. "We're not afraid of you, Henry," Jack declared, his voice steady, carrying a weight of purpose. "This isn't just gossip, it's a movement. We're here to lift voices that have been ignored for too long." The murmurs of agreement teemed around him, giving Jack the courage to move forward. He stepped slightly closer to Henry, feeling Clara's hand gripping his, grounding him. "You may have influence, but you don't own our stories. We're sharing them, lifting up our community." Henry's expression shifted, disbelief washing over him. "Surely you realize this little endeavor will have no impact. You think shouting into the void will change anything?" Jack squared his shoulders, feeling all eyes drawn to him. "It's not just about shouting. It's about connection. It's about building a community that recognizes each other as equals, recognizing that everyone's story matters." Claire stepped up beside him, a warmth radiating from her as she met Henry's gaze. "You may try to intimidate us, but we're not backing down. We will continue to share our stories and uplift one another." Behind them, Maria ushered families forward, one by one, encouraging them to share their experiences. The crowd grew stronger as more voices filtered into the discussions, stepping up to join Jack and Claire's plea. Each story shared laid bricks in their foundation, a testament to their unity. Henry scoffed, but the confidence in his demeanor wavered. The crowd began to swell, unifying in their resolve. "You can't silence what's already been said," Maria called out, her voice unwavering. "This isn't just about one person, it's about all of us." Jack caught the glimmer of determination in Claire's eyes, a reassurance shared between them. "What you don't understand, Henry," she said, "is that this community has endured for so long, carrying the weight others place on us. This is our moment to rise." With that declaration, laughter erupted from the children playing behind them, a vibrant sound that seemed to reverberate through the crowd. Jack took a deep breath, relishing the moment of collective strength. "This is what real change looks like," he affirmed, his gaze sweeping over the sea of faces filled with hope. "Together, we're unstoppable." The energy shifted like a wave, the crowd responded with their own shouts of encouragement. Jack felt exhilarated, each voice echoing in concert, fueled by a mix of anger and hope. Everyone had stories to share, and they would be heard. Henry's frown deepened, caught in the rising tide of the moment, but he wasn't ready to relent just yet. "Don't be naive. You think your little gathering will stop progress? You think you can fracture our system?" Jack stepped forward again, a fierce light in his eyes. "It's not about breaking down, Henry. It's about building up. It's about creating an environment where everyone thrives." At last, Jack saw the fear etched into Henry's features, the realization that they had gathered support, momentum. The crowd stood firm, their unity undeniable, an unbreakable bond against the oppressive weight of status quo. "Together, we'll demand change," Maria shouted, her voice echoing through the park, stirring even more excitement. A ripple of agreement surged through the space, and for the first time, Jack felt the balance of power shifting. In that instant, Henry took a step back, the glint of his confidence dulled, a hint of uncertainty replacing the typical cockiness. Jack's heart raced. Had they actually turned the tide? "You think this is a victory?" Henry replied, attempting to recover. "I assure you, there will be consequences." But Jack met him gaze for gaze, voice unwavering. "Let them come. We're not backing down. We're standing tall for every mother, every child, every person who deserves to be seen and heard." The crowd erupted in cheers, each clap and shout resonating like thunder. Jack, Claire, and Maria stood at the center of it all, empowered and unyielding, ready to face whatever came next. As Henry stepped back into the shadows, something shifted within Jack. He turned to Claire, their bond fortified in that moment of solidarity. "We did it. Together." Together, Claire smiled, her eyes radiant with determination and newfound clarity. The community stood as one, echoing with life and hope, a vivid tapestry woven from their shared stories and collective determination. Jack looked around, embracing the vibrancy surrounding them. This was just the beginning of their journey, and together, they would face whatever challenges lay ahead. As the sun dipped low and the first stars broke through the twilight, Jack felt a wave of gratitude wash over him, their voices, their stories, their struggles powerful, together. This was the moment they had all been waiting for. Now, don't let this powerful transformation stop here. You need to subscribe now to our channel so you won't miss the next exclusive stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm, support this community, and make our voices heard. Comment below your reactions and thoughts. Let's spark a conversation about this incredible transformation. And don't wait not even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this message of hope and unity. Join us in spreading the word and be part of this movement.